From the combined crew of blindandroidusers.com and accessibleandroid.com, it's time for your favorite Android podcast. Kick back now and enjoy another fine episode from these fanboys and gals as they navigate Android from a blindness perspective. And now, here's your crew. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 140 of the Blind Android Users Podcast. I'm Warren Carr.
I'm Austin Pinto from Mumbai.
I'm Fee Dunn from London, otherwise known as the pretty one, to Warren anyway.
You're always pretty.
I'm Jerry from Michigan.
I'm John Dyer from Virginia. I'm also pretty.
And it's the handsome one, Sally from Turkey.
Thank you so much. We got a great number of people in here. And by the way, you heard a new guy in there, Jerry. Jerry's our friend. Jerry is going to be bringing us some great stuff about RAZ Mobility and the Kapsis phone. So we've got a lot in store for you today. We're recording today on Saturday, August the 12th. And coming up, this is what we got. We have the announcement segment. In the Android Basics segment, we're going to be talking about the new beta, Android 14 Beta 5. Google gave us a surprise there. And then we'll talk about the One UI6 based on Android 14. And then in our spotlight, we have our guest, Jerry Jicha. We just call him Jerry. And then we have unboxings from John. We got a bonanza of unboxings today, 3 of them from Samsung. And of course, Jerry closes our episode for this week with the Android Journey Story, my very favorite segment of the episode. Welcome to episode 140. John, let's start with you. What's going on? Are you guys humid, hot, and all of that?
Yeah, it's pretty hot here. I've actually been at my in-laws. I'm at my in-laws right now. They still are building a swing set for their grandkids out back. And I said, sorry, guys, I'm going to have to go record a podcast now. And whatever you do wrong while I'm gone, I can fix it when I get back.
You have to go back out there, John, and sit on it and try to make sure it's just done right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Austin, how about you? What's going on in Mumbai? Are you cooling down? I know last week you guys had lots of rain or something like that. How about this week?
So Mumbai had a lot of rain last week, but this week, full week, we had intense heat, and the heat is going to continue up to 18th of August this year. So it's really unbearable heat. But we have the AC, so it's okay. Other than that, things are going fine.
Pretty one in London, I know that it was kind of cool there last week. You were not, were you on here? I don't remember.
Yes, I was here. I was obviously very
I'm
forgettable,
just
dear, oh
kidding.
dear.
But it was cool there. How about this week? Are you guys still on the coolish side of things?
It's very windy today. We had a couple of sunny days, and I missed a lot of the sunshine yesterday because I was waiting indoors for a surveyor to come, but he didn't come. So that was very annoying, especially as it didn't last long, because it doesn't usually in London, except when it's really, really hot, and then you think, oh, let's have the rain back. But yeah, today it's a bit breezy, a bit windy, about 21 degrees Celsius, something like that. So it's pleasantish, but not quite sitting in the garden weather, I don't think, because it's not sunny and because it's so breezy.
Nice to know you guys have a nice weather. We're heating up here. I think we're going to be like 92 degrees. It's just awful today. So,
can you send us some of that, please?
I wish I could. And we had
send us some sunshine.
Some fire last night. There was a propane explosion somewhere, and we had to make sure we didn't run our air conditioner for about 2 hours, and then everything was out. It was good. Sally boy, what's going on? That's the handsome guy there in Turkey. What's going on with you?
Well, what's going on is I'm getting even more handsome every day. Well, last week I told you that it was 36 Celsius. Now it's like 25. I'm really enjoying this weather. And the whole city is so happy. The Samsung city is so happy because we have the unboxes from Samsung, John is going to do that.
Yeah. Now, so here's the great thing, though. just like me, you keep getting better every day. And I think that's a beautiful thing. You wake up in the morning and you got better looking again. Absolutely beautiful.
I think the weather in India and Turkey, the weather system is going in a reverse direction. Yes, last week Turkey was hot and India was cool, and this time it's the reverse.
That seems to be a similar pattern there for you guys. Jerry, you're going to be on later on. However, how are you doing in Michigan?
Doing pretty good. Thank God our temperatures are lower than what they were. I don't remember when it was, almost a month ago. But right now we're, depending on the day, we're anywhere between mid 70s to low 80s at the moment. I'm loving it when I go outside. But we're doing good. Our oldest son, Jaden, will start second grade the 16th of this month. So yay.
Congratulations to the young man.
This is the announcement segment of Blind Android Users Podcast. Stay tuned to hear important information regarding the podcast, surveys, and the latest news.
We now move on to the announcements segment. Austin, we have anything in store in the way of announcements?
So we received a donation from our listener Eva, and a big thanks to her. And I need to inform our listeners that everything goes into the podcast for website renewals and all the other expenditure. Although I must also say that we don't have an official PayPal account on a podcast name, but it's still, I put that towards the podcast. So keep the donations coming. All amounts are appreciated.
We also want to celebrate John's birthday. John, you just turned 25, right? How old are we now, John?
Yeah, almost 25. 42 actually. So, yeah, I'm up
almost 25. I like that
there.
better.
Yeah.
Anyone who's familiar with the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy will know that John and I are now both the answer to life, the universe, and everything. The ultimate question.
If John is the ultimate answer, I'm getting my towel with the the brick and everything. Just saying.
Yeah. So, John, you just turned 42. Goodness, I don't remember when I was 42. That was probably many, many months ago.
You wish.
Well,
many
I also
moons.
I also
'Cause-
don't remember when I was 42 because I've never been,
yeah. So I will be, turning 57 this year in November. So
Yeah,
that's a long time ago.
Austin and Sally are the young, the children in the podcast.
I
Yeah,
turned
for-
40.
and Cam.
I was going to say I turn 49 next month, and I'm starting to sing that song. If you've ever seen the movie, George Burns movie, I wish I was 18 again.
Thank you.
Oh, I don't.
Welcome to the
no.
club, man. You'll soon be, looking 50 in the eye and say, hello,
Oh.
welcome.
I don't want to be. I'd never want to be a teenager again. Oh, yuck! And
Me
imagine
neither.
no Android phones again. That would be
me
annoying, wouldn't
neither.
it?
I hear you. Well, congratulations and happy birthday, John. I don't know if we can sing happy birthday to John, But
that was good enough. Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Hey,
We don't
Warren,
need everybody trying to do
Warren,
it.
stick with podcasts, please.
I should.
Wow.
I
Jerry's
should.
not going to get invited back.
No,
Yeah.
so
Oof,
I'll take that
gosh.
advice. Happy birthday, John.
This is Android Basics, in which we bring you up to date on the things that you should know to use your Android phone.
Up next, we move on to our Android Basics segment, and this week we're talking about two great stuff. Out of the blue, Google surprised us with an Android 14 Beta 5. Of course, I think they had to because the whole thing has been a disaster if you ask me, this whole Android 14 experience. So many bugs, so many problems, and all of that. And people were still observing reboots, random reboots, and all of that. So, Google, even though they said we were only going to have 4 betas, they realized that something was up. So, we had a 5th beta of Android 14. Austin, I know you have it. How is it going for you? I know I have it.
So the beta is going good, and there are some still bugs on 5G because the device is still getting warm. So there are some very minor bugs, but I think the main release may be delayed because I think we should get at least 2 release candidates in.
We'll see what happens. I think this probably could be the last one.
Wasn't there a song? This could be the last time.
It could be. Now, let's see if there's anything on there. There were a total of like 39 items in this beta. So there was a lot that needed to be fixed. And so Google decided to do that. Now, the one thing that I want to mention, which was also done in beta 4, was that accessibility thing having to do with Talkback, whereupon if you unlock the screen, it will say screen lock, and before it says screen unlocked. So that was supposed to fix it in beta 4. It did, but somehow now and then I would hear it say device locked, even when it's unlocked. Now with this beta 5, every time I unlock it, it says unlocked. So it's totally, truly fixed this time around as to beta 4 that didn't quite fix it. So I'm glad they noticed that and fixed that. How about the One UI6? That's Samsung now. Samsung jumped on the beta. And John, you installed that on yours, right? And could you tell us if it has some of the things that we were wishing it has, especially, say, actions and things like that? Does this One UI6 based on Android 14 that has Talkback 14.0, how does that compare with the Talkback we have from Google?
Yeah, so I just installed it last night, so I haven't had too much time with it. But there's good news and bad news. The good news is that it comes with Talkback 14. The bad news is that it's still coming from the Galaxy Store. I know it sounds silly, but I was hoping that because they hadn't updated Talkback in a year, they had just decided to abandon it and they were going to switch over to getting it from the Play Store like everybody else. But that's not the case. It's still coming from the Galaxy Store. They've just apparently decided to switch to a yearly update schedule because they're literally going from 13.5, which is actually based on 13.0, straight to 14.0. But yes, it does include actions, and just through looking through the settings, it does seem to have everything that the Google version of 14.0 has. But now the question is, when everybody else gets 14.1, what's going to happen to Samsung users? How long are they going to be waiting?
Not much, I imagine.
Yeah.
Like normal. But so can I get that from the Galaxy Store now, or do I have to be in a beta program to do that?
I think it's similar to how Google did it. It's not available in the Galaxy Store right now, as far as I know. So you have to be on the beta to get it, but I'm assuming they're going to release it in the Galaxy Store before they release One UI. So you'll probably get it as an update before you get a full update to your phone.
Right.
If I had to guess.
That makes sense because it's not, you have to have One UI6 in order to get it, and only the S23 series has access right now, and only people in the US, Germany, and South Korea, of course. So, but I'm sure, like John says, once they roll these things out to other regions, my gut feeling is that they will bring that Talkback, updated Talkback to the Galaxy Store. So between now and I say maybe give or take the end of September, we probably should be able to see that on the Galaxy Store.
Oh, I hope it's before that because I'm sick of using Brailleback. Because because my Braille didn't work at all. Every time I connect a Braille display to my S22 at the moment, the whole of Talkback crashes. So I'm back to turning that off and using Braille back, and it's very old, literally. And to me, it's also very old, and I want proper Braille back. Braille back rather than Braille back. That's confusing, isn't it?
It is very confusing. It's a play on words, and I love
Yes.
it. Now, Samsung, if you are listening, stop these annual updates to Talkback and do it when it's out there for the Google Play Store. We're tired of
Better
it.
yet, just let us use the Google one,
That
please.
would be great, but Samsung is Samsung, and that's fine. But all I'm asking is that when Google updates theirs, try to be in sync and
Yeah,
put it on your
or
store.
just let us use theirs instead of reinventing the wheel. There's no need for that.
Yeah,
Silly people.
we want a bicycle wheel here. This is it's just something different.
This is the Spotlight segment. Stay tuned for premium interviews, device unboxing, and more.
Up next is the Smart Vision 3 review from our friend Jerry, whom we'll be hearing from, and his Android journey story. But up now, though, we have that review, and then we'll talk about follow-up and things that were not mentioned in the review. Here's that review from Jerry.
Hello, everyone. Jicha here. I'm the accessibility specialist for RAZ Mobility. I actually prefer to be called Jerry. That's how all of you guys know me. But when I'm doing work stuff or, legal stuff, I use my legal name, which is Jared. So that's why I told you my real name. Would like to talk to you guys about the Smart Vision 3 phone that we just started carrying. Before we go into that, I'd like to let you know a little bit about RAZ Mobility, just a little bit, not much, just in case you've never heard of us before. RAZ Mobility has been offering assistive technology products and services since 2017. We have been offering it to consumers, government programs, and the Department of Veterans Affairs. Try saying that a few times real fast. The products include, some products that we've developed on our own, such as the RAZ Memory cell phone. Now, that one is a phone that does not talk, but it's for people who have dementia. Really neat concept. It's a modified Android phone, but it's for people who have dementia. It's got like big pictures and things like that. And you can have, if you have a caregiver or something, they can, put the pictures on the phone, put speed dials on it, they can do it over the internet. And you just look at the picture and touch the picture of who you want to call, and it calls. And, it's kind of a really neat concept in actual honesty. I at least think so. Products that we've developed with our partners and products, such as the iPhone or the Google Pixel 6 smartphones that are set up with accessibility options and additional accessible apps. Right now, the Smart Vision 3 is already available through state equipment distribution programs in some states, such as Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Arkansas. So, as you can tell, there are state agencies who carry our phones. They give them to their customers. And when a state agent does it like that, if we have an agreement set up with them, it's possible that they can apply for training. And the training is done by me. And basically, we just give them the basics, get them up and running. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the specifications of the phone, and then we'll go into looking at what the phone looks like, and we'll demo some stuff as well. One of the things that we'll demo is the fact that either from a first time turn on. In other words, you buy it, you take it out of the box, you turn it on for the first time and you go into the setup. Or if you do a factory reset, you know that you have to either one with Android phones, you have to like press and hold the volume keys, or press and hold your fingers, 2 fingers on the screen. With this particular phone, you don't have to do that. Talkback comes up automatically once you hear the startup sound. Then about a minute and a half later, it actually comes up talking once it's done finishing setting up, what it does. And you'll hear that here in a little bit on this particular segment. But like I said, let's go ahead and look at the specs, or at least some of them anyway. Let's look at some of the specs on this phone. The dimensions of this phone are 159 by 68 by 10.4 millimeters, which is 6.26 by 2.68 by 0.41 inches. Its weight is 160 grams or 0.35 pounds. The display on this phone is a 3.5 640 by 960 pixels. That's the display. You do have 4 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of internal storage. You can put an SD card in it. It says up to 128 gig. Now, I have not tried using higher than that. But me personally, I don't store a whole lot of stuff on my phone. I mean, I've got a 256 gig S22 Ultra that I'm not even using half the storage on it. Not even half. Actually, maybe a quarter. Maybe. The processor, and I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce this right, so I'm going to apologize for that ahead of time. It's an octa-core MediaTek MT6071. Wait. Yep. MT6771. MT6771T. It does have, for cellular connectivity, first of all, you do have to use it with either T-Mobile or anyone that uses T-Mobile's network. So like Mint Mobile, other carriers like Mint Mobile, but you just have to make sure they're using T-Mobile's network. Its connectivity, it has 4G, VoLTE, 3G, and 2G. It does have Wi-Fi 802.11, 802.11. It's got 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. It's got B, G, and N. Doesn't look like it has AC capability. As far as SIM cards go, it does take nano SIM cards. And it's got 2 slots. So you, in the SIM tray. So you can do 2 nano SIM cards, or you could do 1 SIM card and 1, micro SD card. Does not have eSIM. So for those of you, who are all about the eSIM, this wouldn't work for you. Now, keep in mind, this is probably not going to be for, a lot of people who are, really good at using Android phones, just the touch screen only. They're real fast with it. They know what they're doing. People who've been using Android for a long time. However, what I will say, having that been said, there are times where, especially when my carpal tunnel's acting up, I would rather use buttons, but I still want the touch screen. And that's where this phone comes in handy. You can use the touch screen. You can use the buttons. And there is, I don't think they call it a Google button. I think it's just, It's a voice button, but I mean, I pretty much think of it as a Google button, but that's just me. But you can, use the Google Assistant that way. And you can also use it when you want to, voice type in edit fields, which is really nice. All right, let's just take a look at this phone. One thing before we do look at this phone that I do want to bring up it's a big thing, at least for me, and it actually will make our customers very happy who do decide to get this phone, is that when you're setting it up for the first time, you got it and you're taken out of the box, you charge it up, you go to turn it on for the first time, as we all know, you have to do the press and hold of the 2 volume buttons, or a lot of phones support the 2-finger press and hold on the screen. This phone, you don't have to do that. It actually will come up talking. Let me go ahead and show you a little piece from the audio tutorial that I'm actually slowly working on for work. This will show you what happens when you turn it on from the start, where you're turning it on for the first time, or you've performed a factory reset. This is what happens. All right, there's the second vibrate. So right now, this would be up with you guys. Now, what's nice about this phone as opposed to other Android phones, normally you have to hold the 2 volume keys to activate Talkback. On this phone, you don't, at least in the first time. So we're going to hear a startup sound here in just a moment. That's kind of what I'm waiting for. All right, that was good. We want to hear that. Now, we wait a little bit until the phone tells us that it's done setting stuff up. So we just wait. Now, I will warn you, it will be kind of quiet. And I'll show you how to turn that up here once it's done saying everything it's going to say. And hopefully this recording will help you hear it a little better, since, like I said, your phone's going to be kind of quiet initially. Here we go. So we're just waiting until it finishes setting everything up. I don't want to pause or edit this part because I want you to hear how long this takes. You won't hear that noise when you're setting yours up. That's because mine, I'm holding it really close to a microphone. And we're just still kind of waiting for it to finish its setup here.
The configuration is now finished. Enjoy your Smart Vision 3. Talkback on. Checking for downloads. Initial setup is completed. Tap to finish initial setup. Kapsis accessibility connected. Syncing SIM contacts 3 period. Hi there. Welcome to Talkback, page 1 of 5. Talkback is a screen reader intended for situations or people who have difficulty seeing the screen. It gives you spoken feedback so that you can use your device without looking at the screen. You can turn Talkback on or off by holding both volume keys for several seconds. When Talkback is on, the focused item on the screen is spoken out loud. Swiping right will move to the next item, and swiping left will move to the previous item. Swipe right now to find the next button. Welcome to Talkback. Accessibility volume set to 71%.
All right, so let's just take a quick look at this phone. We're not going to have much time, and there's just a lot to this phone. We're going to start out with the face of the phone. Then we'll move to what I call the top, then the right side, then the bottom, then the left side, and then we'll flip it over and look at the back. Make sure that the number pad is toward your stomach, chest, whatever, however you hold your phone. And then make sure that the top of the screen is away from you for correct orientation. So at the very top, right above the screen, is your earpiece. This is obviously the part you put to your ear. This is also where things like the camera, like, the front-facing camera, the proximity sensor, things of that, the, little LEDs might be there as well. Then right below that is I believe it's a 3.5-inch display. Maybe a little bit bigger than that. I'm totally blinded, but I think that's what I read. I hope I'm right. If not, I do apologize. It's a decent-sized screen for this type of phone, and it's actually also a touch screen. We'll get to that in just a moment. Below the screen, you're going to see an area of buttons that's divided into two sections. The bottom section is your traditional number keypad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, star, 0, and pound. Traditional number pad. And as I'm telling you the different parts of the phone, different buttons, I'm actually touching those buttons and or parts of the phone. So I hope that you're kind of following along. Now, the top portion of these buttons, the manual calls a navigation area. I like to think of it as either navigation or control area, because this is where you're, controlling the phone, using arrows and back and delete and answering the phone and, other things of that nature. So you're controlling the phone, but it's also called a navigation area. In the middle of this navigation area, find the button. Like I said, it's right in the middle. It feels kind of rough. If you take your fingernail, you can kind of. Okay, so if you find that button, that's where I want to start. And that is your OK button. So it's also your enter button or select button. Sometimes you'll use it as to click a button or to click what you're wanting to do. So think of it as a select button, OK button kind of thing. Now, above, below, to the left, and to the right of that button, you're going to feel 4 buttons. They're really narrow. And my best suggestion to you is use the tip of your finger on these buttons. Because if you're not careful, you could accidentally, as I call it, fat finger 2 buttons. So you could accidentally, say, hit the down arrow and the OK at the same time. So what I do is use the tip of my finger on these buttons, and it works just fine. At any rate, these are your arrow keys. So you got your up arrow, down arrow, left arrow, right arrow, and they are just like that. So the up arrow is above the select button, down arrow is below it, left arrow is to the left, and right arrow is to the right. To the left of this navigation area, there are 2 buttons. They are actually right above the 1 button, and they are just slightly higher than the 1 button. The top button is the home button. This is when you are you're in an app and you want to go back to the home screen of the app. Of the phone. This is how you do it. That's the button you press to go home. Below that button is your menu button. In a lot of cases, you're not going to use it, But when you're at the home screen, this will take you to a menu of like quick settings, notifications, talkback settings. It takes you to different things, like shortcuts. Think of it that way. This is also the button that you will use to answer an incoming call. To the right of the navigation keys, the arrows with the select button in the middle, to the right, again, you have two buttons, one, above the other. And again, they're both right above the 3 button. And again, they're slightly higher than the 3 button. The top button is your back button. This is anytime you want to go back a screen, this is the button you would press to do that. Below that is your delete key. Press it once to delete a character, like when you're typing, you press it once to delete a character, or you can press and hold and delete the entire edit field of what you were writing. Like I said, below that stuff is your number pad. On the top of the phone, let's look at the top now. Kind of toward the left, about half inch to an inch in from the left side is your headset jack. Right now, I am using that. It's plugged directly into my computer so that when I do make the phone talk, instead of hearing it through the microphone that I'm talking into, you're going to hear the speech directly from the phone. It's not going to be through a microphone. You're going to hear it directly, so it should be a little bit clearer. To the right of that, kind of maybe about a half inch or so in from the right edge on the top is your power button. This is how you can turn the phone on and off. Also, put it to sleep and wake it up. That'll be discussed later. On the right side of the phone, toward the top, let's see, what would that be? About an inch, maybe an inch and a half from the top. You're going to feel a button that, again, is a bit kind of rough. That is your voice operation button. This is how you can tell the phone to open apps, call somebody, send a message to somebody, do voice dictation in an edit field, different things like that. Again, we'll show that to you later in the audio tutorial. Just a little below that, you'll see 2 buttons. The top one is your volume up, bottom one is your volume down. On the bottom of the phone, let's look at the bottom now. On the right-hand side, on the bottom, you're going to feel that's where your speaker is. And then just to the left of that is your USB-C port. Now, USB-C can be plugged in either way. You don't have to make sure that you're plugging it in a certain way. It will work either way. So you don't have to make sure that dots are pointing up or whatever the case may be. On the left side, nothing. Well, okay, there is. That's where your SIM tray will be to, put your SIM card in your phone. Let's see, whereabouts is that? Give me just one moment. I'm partially popping the... Okay, it's toward the top. Let's see. Maybe about an inch from the top edge on the left side. That's where your SIM tray is. You have to use a SIM ejector to pop the tray out so that you can put your SIM card in the phone. All right, let's flip the phone over. And with it flipped over, now this would, where I'm talking about, I'm going to say it's going to look like it's on the left, but that's because we've flipped the phone over. If you don't flip it over, it's more, more toward the right. But because we flipped the phone over, it's toward the top left edge on the back. It's about, what, an inch by, would that be an inch and a half by an inch? But it is a bit of a rectangle. This is where your camera is and your flashlight. And then down and slightly to the right of that is your fingerprint sensor. So when your phone is sleeping, instead of pushing the power button and then typing a password or a PIN or whatever the case may be, you can actually just put your finger on the fingerprint sensor like this.
3:06 a.m. Home screen. 3:06 a.m., Friday the 4th of August, selected. Battery level, 91% remaining.
And that's how you'll know it's unlocked, because it'll say, home screen, or if you were in an app, it might say the app's name or something like that. But notice I didn't push the power button and, I didn't wake the phone up and then do whatever. I just touched the fingerprint sensor, and that's all I did. All right, so let's show you something a little different. We're just going to take a look at, let's say one app, okay? Because like I said, there's just a whole lot to this phone. We all know how to do the calendar. I mean, we all have the calendar app on our phones, regardless of what Android phone we have. Well, this one has that, but there's also one on here called Agenda. And at least to me, it's not quite as cluttered, and I actually like using it.
Applications. Agenda.
So let's go ahead and look at Agenda.
Agenda. Button. More options. Button. Create event.
So as you can see right now, there's only two things.
Button. More options.
More options and create event. Let's see what's in more options real quick.
Pop-up window. Delete all. Default ringtone.
So you've got two options.
Delete all.
You got your delete all.
Default ringtone.
Default ringtone. Let's set what ringtone we want this to use.
Agenda. Button. More options. Cesium. Check. Fermium. Hassium. Helium. Krypton. Neon. Neptunium.
I don't even have my stuff on here. This has been freshly reset. So let's see.
Check. Nobelium. Checked. Osmium. Checked. Oxygen. Checked. Piezo alarm. Platinum. Checked.
All right, we'll leave it as that. Go back.
Agenda. Button.
Okay.
More options.
So now we have our ringtone set that we want to use for alerts.
Button. Create event.
Let's go ahead and go to create event.
Event detail. Title. Empty.
Now, when you want to go into edit fields on here,
Title. Edit box. Enter event title.
now notice it didn't say we're editing it yet. So what I'm going to do is press select. I did go into title, but while it put me on the edit field, it didn't, open it. It didn't select it. So let's go ahead and actually select the edit field.
Showing enter event title. Edit box. Enter event title. Editing. Selected.
Okay. Now it says, editing selected. And we're using the Kapsis keyboard. That's what it is by default. So let's do, let's see here. What do we want to do as an event? Let's see. Okay.
Capital B. L. I. N. D space A M
Oops. Let's delete that.
M deleted. N D R O H I deleted. I D.
So as you see, I didn't hear that it did the I. I heard H, but I never heard the I. So I didn't know it did it. So when I backed up over what I thought was an H, it was actually an I. So sometimes that can happen if you try pushing the buttons real fast.
Space T.
See, I did hit it twice, but I don't know if it's an actual T or a U. So let's back up.
T deleted.
Okay, this time it was a T.
T. T.
Well,
T deleted. T deleted. T. U.
there I did it a little slower. Sometimes you can do it real fast, but other times you can't.
P. Q. R. S. D. D. D deleted. D deleted. D. E. Q. R. P. Q. R. S. Space. P. O. D. A. B. C. A. P. Q. R. S. T. Space. P. R. E. A. B. C. N. O. P. Q. R. D. A. I. N. G. G. Edit box, blind Android users podcast recording, editing, enter event title, selected.
All right, so now that I'm done doing that, I'm going to hit the back key, not backspace, not delete, but the back key.
Edit box, blind Android users podcast recording, enter event title. Button, cancel. Button, OK.
All right, so I'm going to hit OK.
Event detail. Title, blind Android users podcast recording. Date, August 7th, 2023.
All right, let's go in here.
Agenda, 2023, checked. Agenda, February.
I totally forgot. When it says checked, you still have to press enter on it. You don't go looking for a save or an OK. I totally forgot that. All right, so I've got 2023.
March, April, May, June, July. August, checked.
It says it's checked, but I still just need to press select.
Agenda, Monday 7, checked.
All right, what day do I want this on? Let's see.
Tuesday 8. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday 12.
All right, so the 12th.
Event detail. Date, August 12th, 2023.
There we go.
Time, 8:25 p.m.
All right, let's select the time.
Agenda, 1 p.m. 2 p.m. 7 p.m. 10 p.m. 3 p.m. 12 p.m.
All right, so 12 p.m.
Agenda, 0, checked. 5. 55. 50.
Let's set it for why did I do that? I should have went back. I did something wrong, but I can fix it. It's okay.
Event detail. Time, 12:50 p.m. Agenda, 12 p.m. 1 p.m. 11 a.m.
There we go.
Agenda, 0, checked.
And I'm just using the arrow keys to do all this.
50. Event detail. Time, 11:50 a.m.
There we go.
Recurrence, once.
And this is only a one-time thing, so I'm going to leave it on once, but let me show you how, what's in here.
Agenda, once, check, every day, every week, every month, every year.
So there you go.
Once, checked.
We want to leave it on once.
Event detail. Recurrence, once. Reminder, on time.
Do you want it to remind you on time? I'm just going to leave it as on time because I actually set the time slightly before when the event actually is.
Ringtone.
Now, I can leave it on the default ringtone that we have set, but if I want a different ringtone for this
Sounds. Select ringtone. Cesium. Check. Fermium. Platinum. Platinum. Rooster alarm. Scandium. Add alarm. Heading. Button. Cancel. Add alarm. Heading. Scandium. Checked. Rooster alarm. Plutonium. Checked.
All right, we'll set that one. Just press select.
Check.
Okay.
Event
Back.
detail. Ringtone. Save.
And now I'm going to, let's see, did it save
Ringtone.
it? Let's see.
Sounds. Select ringtone. Cesium. Checked. Osmium. Rooster alarm. Plutonium. Add alarm. Button. Button. OK.
Oh, okay. Go down to the OK button.
Event detail. Ringtone.
I would rather just hit the back button, but unfortunately in here it doesn't show you the name.
Reminder. Ringtone.
See? It doesn't show you. So, interesting.
Save.
All right, so I'm going to hit save,
Agenda. Button. More options.
and I'm done. So now when you go in here, as you see, I'm on the more options.
Button. Create event.
There's the create event.
Blind Android Users Podcast Recording. Saturday, August 12th, 2023, 11:50 a.m.
It's just in a nice list view. So there you go. So if you'd like to learn more about the Smart Vision 3 or you want to purchase it from RAZ Mobility, you can tell them I sent you. Tell them the accessibility specialist sent you. Visit our website at www.razmobility.com.
Thank you so much for that great review, Jerry. So it's a review/unboxing. Let's talk about some of the things, Jerry, that time did not permit you to talk about in your review. Could you talk to us about some of the things that you had wanted to put in there that time did not allow you to?
Well, let's see. First of all, one of the things is that I can't remember. I don't even remember what I put in there, but I know that two of the buttons I may not have talked about, and they're actually nice to have. Give me just one moment. I'm unlocking mine while I'm saying this stuff to you guys. To the left of the arrow keys in the OK button, you have two buttons. The one there, the one on the top is the home button. Not only does it take you home, but if you press and hold it instead of just pushing it, if you press and hold it,
Recent apps.
that's how you get at the recent apps, which is really nice. You know how, on Android touchscreen phones, we have, you either have the button or you got to do the gesture. Well, this one, you just have a button that you do that with. And then there's a menu button just below the home button. Again, it has two purposes. Now, one that does not make sense to me is the menu button. If you're anywhere else other than the home screen, it doesn't do anything. But if you are on the home screen and you just press the menu button,
Quick settings. Quick settings selected.
as you see, you have a couple things here. You've, the quick settings.
Notifications.
Here's how you can get at your notifications.
Recent applications.
Again, recent application. Now, I don't know why that's there. I guess kind of redundant, but
Media control.
such as it is.
Settings.
There's your settings. So you don't have to go to applications and then go to settings. It's right here.
Kapsis accessibility.
There's some, kind of like Talkback. There's where you can find some of the accessibility stuff for Kapsis specifically.
Talkback accessibility.
And here's where you can get into Talkback's accessibility stuff. So there's that.
1246.
Also, if you press and hold that same button,
Talkback menu. Navigation selected.
And we all know this menu, so I'm not going to go through it all the way, but this is where you can get at the top, the talkback stuff.
Copy last spoken phrase.
So there you go. I mean, that's, pretty cool that you can
12:47.
really easy get at that stuff. Like I said, I personally think this phone is just, for what it is, I think it's pretty cool.
That's great, Jerry. And I was kind of wondering about that menu, if it could be used as like a contextual button. Let's say you are sitting on an app, and if one long presses on it, I think if they do something like that, that would be good. So, for instance, it doesn't only have to work while you're on the home screen. So if I were on the web or in an app, for example, so I want to select something and interact with it, I could long press on that. I think that would make sense to me.
Yeah. Well, if you're talking like getting at the talkback stuff where you can do that type of stuff, you just long press it, but to just press it to get at different things, then no, you can't just press it to get at some of that stuff, but you can long press it to get at talkback stuff.
I had a question. This phone I know is for people who either don't want to use the touch screen at all or want buttons to make things easier. So if I was someone who didn't want to use a touch screen, are there button presses for things like finding out your battery level? I mean, I know you can do that with Google's voice assistant as well.
I believe there actually is. What they are, I don't fully remember, but I do know
but they do
that
have them.
I do know it's something like that can be done. Also, when you turn the device on, like when you wake it up, you can, that's one of the things you can have it tell you under the Kapsis stuff. That's one of the things you can go into. What do you want me to tell you when you wake the phone up? And battery levels, I think signal strength might be one of them. But I know battery level is, as you heard mine, when I turned it on, it said what the battery was at.
Yeah. And does it, because you said it only works on T-Mobile or T-Mobile based networks in the US.
Yes.
I'm assuming it probably works on all the networks in a lot of other countries. Is that right?
That I can't speak to that because I don't know.
I've not heard anyone in the UK say you can't use that phone on such and such a network, because I know in the US you have these funny networks that run on a different system, don't you? That nobody else has.
Yeah, I mean, my boss, because I did ask him about that, and his words were kind of, technically it could work on AT&T, but because it's not approved for AT&T, AT&T would shut it down the second you probably tried activating it on. They would stop.
Annoying.
That's
not very good.
It
not very
is
friendly.
No, it's not. But what can you do at the end of the day,
That's US carriers for you.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I quite like living in London then. And what about 5G? Does it have 5G?
Unfortunately, no. And
4G?
unfortunately, yes, it does have 4G, and it has LTE, and it has VoLTE.
Yeah.
But and Warren, I know you're gonna cry. No eSIM. Sorry.
Well, not a lot of phones have eSIM, but frankly, this will work internationally because I had a friend of mine that had a Smart Vision 2, and he took it on a trip and it works. So, and it's coming from France, so you'd be sure that it is covered. European networks,
I think so.
definitely are supported. So yeah, it's just in the US that
You
it
do
may be
things
iffy,
weird
but
over there.
but it's just AT&T doing that game because they want you to get phones from them, and it's just absolutely stupid.
Which
I
is
think one of
okay
the-
to a point, but if they don't sell a phone that meets your needs, then not so much.
Exactly.
And I don't know if I said this in the I don't think I did, and I totally forgot to. With RAZ Mobility, we do have two different packages for it. You can either get just the phone, with the charger, and that one's like, it's $539. And I know what a lot of you are saying, ouch, that's too much. for what it is and being in a niche market, let's face it, the blind community is, we're going to pay more for things that are specifically designed for us. But for $5.99, you can actually get not only the phone and the charger, but you get 2 different apps. You get a book reader and a map program. It's called Captain, spelled with a K. But you also get a case, a screen protector, and wireless charging. So, and a cleaning cloth. So, 2 different things that you can choose from. I personally, like I said, I personally, for what it is, I like it. I mean, okay, it's not a flagship, high, the newest processor, but for what it is, it works just fine.
You're listening to the Blind Android Users podcast.
How about Braille? Have you tried it with Braille?
I have not, because I don't do Braille on any phone right now.
Oh.
I've heard people who do it, and I'm sitting there listening. How can you guys do this? I couldn't do it. I mean, I know my Braille. It's not that. I'm doing barely good enough to type on a screen as it is. So trying to use a Braille keyboard, I couldn't do it. There's no way.
I find it easier actually to type in text with a Braille keyboard, but then I learnt Braille from a young age, so maybe.
Well, so did I.
Yeah.
I went to the Ohio State School for the Blind in kindergarten. So there you go.
Yeah,
I think it might support Braille, but
well,
one
it is
has
running
to
Android
try.
11.
Yeah,
It is
so
running Android 11. Keep that in mind. I don't know.
goodness me.
It does have, a matter of fact, I just got an update for Talkback last night, I think. But keep in mind it's running Android 11, so I don't know. Would you be able to use all those keys or all those fingers on the screen at the same time?
Oh no,
with
I
Android
wasn't
11?
really asking. I don't know, but I wasn't really asking about that. I meant like a Braille display.
You said Braille keyboard. Oh, I thought you meant
No, I
the
said, how
on-screen
is it with
keyboard.
Braille? No, I didn't mean that, but that's interesting as well. But oh dear, misunderstanding, even though we all speak English. No, I
But
meant
just-
like a Braille display, like connecting
I haven't
it.
tried one, but I should. I should. Although
Yeah.
No,
I
don't like on-screen Braille keyboards either
I don't
myself.
think there's any reason why it wouldn't work
Yeah.
with a Braille display.
right.
No,
Now,
I
if you want
know
to
the
do a
blind
virtual
shell.
Braille, however,
Yeah, might not.
because it has a smaller screen, you may have
Yeah,
a little bit of a difficult time. But yet
Yeah, that would
again,
depend on what
yeah.
the screen actually supports. If it supports 6 touches at once, not necessarily
probably doesn't.
because although multi-finger gestures weren't introduced until Android 12, you could still use the Braille keyboard before that with 6 fingers if the device supported it. So
Exactly.
it depends on the screen that they
Well,
use.
and this
Yeah,
is
no,
only-
I was thinking of Brett because blind shell definitely doesn't. This is why I'm asking. Because somebody might be listening and thinking, which of those 2 should I get? And that's why I was interested to know. I think I've heard that it works with Braille. I just wondered if you'd tried it.
the touch screen is only a 3.5 inch. So can you
Yeah,
guys just
no.
imagine trying to do 6 fingers on a 3.5 inch
Oh
screen?
no, but I mean with like something like a Vario Braille display or I don't know what the other ones are, but one of those.
The only one we have here is a Focus 40.
Do
And I don't know
they
if-
work with Android? I don't know. if they
I
do.
don't know. I don't know.
If it has Bluetooth, yeah, it does.
Oh,
It
right.
should. Jerry,
Yeah.
another good thing about this that sets it apart from the other phones in this class is the fact that it comes with that Play Store, doesn't it?
Yes. Let me show you real quick. Come on, phone, unlock. There we go. All right. So
Home screen.
open Play Store. I'm trying to
Play
cheat.
Store.
There it goes.
Google Play.
There you go. So
Search Google. Voice search button. Show notifications and offers.
we
Preview
all know what
notifications available button.
we all know what the Play Store looks like, but there you guys go. There's the Play Store right there.
Exactly.
And where are your apps?
Oh, something I probably did forget to mention.
Assistant.
Give me 1 second. So if you go to the home screen,
Lookout. 12:57 p.m. Saturday.
there's your clock up at the very top. If you down arrow 1 time,
Applications.
so I can just press select on applications.
Applications. Agenda selected.
And they're just in a list of you. They're not in a grid. They're in a list. So you can just down arrow.
Application updates. Assistant. Banknote recognizer. Book reader. Calculator.
And there you go. You just down arrow through them.
So they're alphabetically arranged.
Yes. Yes.
Can you press a letter? Like, would it say if your app began with N or something, or
M.
W? Can you do that?
Magnifier selected.
Well, I just now tried it. I can get to M, but what I was trying to do is a letter that's maybe the second letter on the number. Let's see. Let me try B as in Bravo.
A. B. MB.
Oh, it's
It
got
looks
M
like
and B, so that's
It
why.
looks like it's.
Screen.
It looks
So
like
you
I
could
don't know what
actually
it's trying
you
to
could
do.
type more than one letter then. So you could type mag if you're looking for magnifier, or maybe
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, it's something I really haven't played with, just because I usually cheat and just use the assistant. But that's
Yes, no,
me. It's so much faster, especially if you know what the app is called.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think part of it, though, because it's using a T9 and you got to time it right also. So
Yes, yes.
it makes all the difference.
And I will say, if you try doing things, and I think you may have heard it in the review thing, if you try typing too fast, things usually it does work, but every once in a while, and I don't know if it's just because the phone slows down from time to time, but if you try typing really fast, sometimes letters come up missing. You push the 8 twice, you're hoping and thinking you're going to get a U. Well, you don't. You get T.
But could I connect a Bluetooth keyboard? Would that
Yes.
work? So
Yeah.
I could type emails, long emails.
I've even hooked, because it's got a USB-C port.
Yeah.
I've even hooked in an adapter and hooked in my Logitech wireless keyboard and used it.
Oh, so you can
like
use
I said,
one
this is a
with a
full
wire
Android
or
phone.
without one. Yeah, so it'll
Right.
work.
Yeah.
It's full-blown Android. It's just been
full-blown Android
customized.
phone. So anything you can do with an Android phone, you can do with it. It's just that it has keys instead, making it easy for people who cannot,
Yeah.
use the touch screen.
What about when you're reading a book? Because when I'm reading a book, if I want to turn the page, I'll use 2 fingers to turn the page left or right.
I've never tried that
of course,
yet.
You can do that with the touch screen, but I just wondered, do they have a page turning?
I know
button?
the book reading app that it comes with, if you from us, if you buy the more expensive one, it's I think it's got back and next or previous and next buttons in it, or something.
But I mean, that wouldn't work if you had a Kindle book or something, or would it read those in that app? I don't know.
It's
usually Amazon likes you to use their own
right
stuff,
right I don't think you'd be able to do Kindle with it. I don't think so,
because they have so many books, and some
but I mean,
of them can be quite cheap.
Well, and there's so many apps you can get that, if just like any other Android phone, if an app on the phone does not do what you want it to do, just go get one that does.
Well, thank you so much, Jerry. That's beautiful. And the great news is that this time around, actually, this thing is cheaper than the Smart Vision 2. So if you want to buy it, this is probably the one to get.
One thing also to tell you, and that is, if you're in a state where the state agency has a program where they would give it to you, you can actually get training. Depending on the state, depending on our, how the agreements are with, because I don't work in that department, but I'm the one who does the training. So if you get a phone from your state agency, if you get a Smart Vision 3 from your state agency, and there are some that already have it, as I said in the review, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and I forget what the third one was.
That was Arkansas.
So if you were to get a phone from them, you can actually call us and you set up a training session, and then it's me that you talk to.
This is the Spotlight segment. Stay tuned for premium interviews, device unboxing, and more.
Well, let's move on then to our next segment, and this is our Spotlight 2 segment, and this is all about unboxings. John, you've done a lot of unboxings, and I can imagine what it was like, unboxing those things back to back. You got the tablet, you got the Z Fold, and you have the watch. Let's start though with your unboxing of the tablet, since it begins with a letter T. I love letter T. Absolutely beautiful looking letter. So we start with letter T, and here's John's unboxing of the Tab S9.
John here, and today I have another unboxing for you. This time it's the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9, just the base model, not the Plus or the Ultra. I shouldn't say base model because this has 256 gigabytes of storage and 12 gigabytes of RAM, but it is the base model, the smallest model, the 11-inch. And I also have a case that I'm going to be unboxing. I'm actually going to do that first. It's called the Outdoor Cover. I've never had one before, but they were running a promotion where I could pick $50 worth of accessories, and this was $60, so I got it for $10 basically. So I'm going to open that first. Here it is. I haven't even looked to see how. Okay, there's tape here. Let's see. Did I not go all the way through? Guess not. Here it is. Put that up there. Okay, so here it is. I guess it's kind of a rugged case. That's what I assumed by the name of it. It has an interesting stand. It's sort of a hollow stand, which so you could use it as a handle if you're holding it. I kind of like that. It covers the buttons. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that. It feels so small. I haven't used a tablet this small in a while. All right, now here's the main event. Excuse the kitties. They want to be in the video, I guess. I cut down the sides where there was no tape, so now I'm going to cut down the sides where there is tape. Okay. Very small box. There's nothing in here but a cable. We already know that. Let's see. So, okay, this is different. Normally Samsung tablets come in this little canvas type pouch, but this looks like it's just like everybody else does. It still feels a little more substantial than your typical plastic covering, but it's not like the canvas bag they usually come in. I'm thinking just going to, I don't want to tear it too much, but all right, just slide it out. Hopefully, can just slide it out here. All right, so I I guess. So there's, oh, okay, here we go. So here's the back of it. With the back facing you, the S Pen goes along the top. And, well, let's get that out, because I said this only came with a cable and I lied. It also comes with an S Pen. I was so upset about the charging brick not being included that I forgot. It comes with an S Pen. So here's the S Pen. Gonna magnetize it to the back. That's where that goes. And then to the right of that is the camera bump. It's just a single camera this year. There were dual cameras last year, but they downgraded it. I don't care. Honestly, I don't think I've once used the camera. Maybe for a lookout or something like that, but definitely don't take pictures with it. So I'll describe the device. So along the top, all the buttons are along the top and they're on the left side. To the very left is the power, or what you'd call side key. To the right of that is the volume buttons. And I like to say on Samsung devices, they're backwards. So where you would think the left should be volume down and the right should be volume up, it's actually the reverse. So I'm holding it in landscape and the buttons are along the top. This feels like a microphone near the right side. I have no idea what it is, but there's dual speakers on the left sides, or left side and right side. There's two sets of speakers, so when you hold it, yes, you are going to block the lower speakers, but you won't be blocking the upper speakers. And along the bottom is just the keyboard attachment area, and on the left side is the USB-C port. So, did I already put my pen away? Yeah, I did. That up there, so I'll just turn it on, see what we got here. I do like the size of it. It feels so small. So let's see if I can. So it is one-handed. No, I'm just kidding. I can hold it in one hand, but it's definitely not one-handed. I would not hold it like that. Yeah, I wish Samsung made an 8-inch premium tablet, but they do not for whatever reason. So this 11-inch is gonna have to do. I did not pay attention like I should have to see if it vibrated when I turned it on, but I guess I can try again. I'm gonna see if we are here yet.
Press both side and volume up buttons quickly to use Talkback. Talkback on. Welcome to Talkback. Welcome to Talkback.
Okay.
Samsung Setup Wizard.
So let's see how these speakers do.
English, United, welcome. English, United States. Start button.
They seem to get pretty loud.
English, United.
I'm gonna turn it down.
Start button. English, United States.
All right, so I'm not gonna
volume set to 35%.
I'm not gonna go through the setup or anything, but I will.
Power off menu. Restart button. Power off button. Power off button.
I will turn it back on to see. Okay, it does have a haptics in it. It just vibrated when I turned it off, but I'm gonna see if it vibrates when I turn it on, because I know that's something we care about. Okay, it does. Actually, it's got a I don't want to call it cheap, but it's a loud haptics engine. Like, it probably came through in the video. I'm gonna put it in its case just to see how that is.
Welcome to Talkback. Welcome to Talkback. Page 105.
Turn it
Talkback
off.
is a screen. Screen off.
All right, so I got it in the outdoor case. You know,
Screen off.
I actually
Screen off.
think I'm gonna like this case because of the stand on the back. I think, yeah, it's nice. It's shaped rectangular with rounded edges, but it's hollow, so you can grab onto it when you're holding it. So I actually do like it. You can use it as a handle. So I approve of the case. I don't know if I would not have spent $60 on it, but for $10, yeah, definitely. Okay, well, that's been the quick unboxing of the Galaxy Tab S9.
Thanks for that, John. And up next, we go to letter W, and we're talking about the Watch 6. John, you got the classic version. That means it's the one that has the rotating bezel, the crown. And so here's that review, or unboxing rather, of the Watch 6 Classic.
All right, here I have a Galaxy Watch 6 Classic 47mm. So this is the newest watch, and it's the version with the physical rotating bezel. I'm going to unbox it. See what it comes with. These are becoming more and more difficult. Okay. I think I got it. Okay, so in the lid is where the charger lies. Guess I'll take it out since there's not much to this. Just want to make sure I'm getting everything. So there's the charger. And I guess that's it. Let's see. Yeah, nothing else in this. Put that on the side. So, alright, it comes in this really long box because the bands are already connected and it's just lying flat in there. Here's what it looks like. I ordered the graphite band, I think, which I'm assuming is like a dark gray. I wanted black, but they didn't have it in the sports band I wanted. So, all right, here's the, don't know if you can hear this or not. Let me put it next to the mic. That's the rotating bezel. The buttons are on the right. You can always change the band out, do how you want. Let's see what else is in the box here. I think that's probably it. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so it feels, so I don't have the Galaxy Watch 5 to compare it to. I haven't had it for a while, but it feels similar from what I remember. The bezel's supposed to be thinner on this than it is on the Watch 4 Classic. It does feel a little thinner, but it's still enough to get a hold of, which is good. So on the right side, there's what sort of feels like 3 buttons, but the piece in the middle is not a button. So there's a top button and a bottom button. And I think that piece in the middle is just to sort of keep your wrist from accidentally pressing the buttons. So for example, the buttons are on the right. If you're wearing this on your right hand with the buttons on the right, and you're flexing your hand, it kind of digs into your wrist. So I think that's to prevent accidental presses. But anyway, I don't know which button is which. I'm going to press and hold the top button and see what happens. Okay, that was the one. It vibrated. Just going to wait a few minutes and see. Well, I'm pretty sure the two-finger hold will work, but I'm going to try a triple tap of the power button first. Not that you need to turn on Talkback at all. You should be able to set this up directly from your phone, as long as it's within Bluetooth range. And it doesn't even need to be a Samsung phone. Any Android phone is compatible. Just download the Samsung Wearables app and you can do everything from in there. But I will try this to see what happens. I'm assuming it's booted up. I'm going to triple press the top button, which I think is the power button. That seems to have done nothing. I'm going to try this other button. I wonder if by triple pressing it, I turned the screen off. Let's try again. All right, I'm just going to do the two-finger hold, see if I can get anything to happen.
Continue touching the screen until you hear a beep to enable accessibility mode.
So I'm holding the screen with two fingers. I did not hear a beep, but let's see what happened. Nothing. Let's try again. Oh, okay. I forget how slow the watches are. I'm going to see if I can adjust the volume here.
When Talkback is on, the focused item. Close. Back is on, the focused item.
Wow, yeah, this is slow.
Next button.
Is there a close button?
When Talkback is on.
Doing the back gesture does not seem to be doing anything.
When Talkback is on. When Talkback is on.
Okay.
When Talkback. Next button.
All right, I'm going to hit next.
Double. Scroll. Swipe up or down with two fingers.
Trying to adjust the volume on here.
Item 1. Swipe up or down with two fingers.
The up and down gestures
Item 1.
don't seem to be working
Item 1.
just yet. Maybe it's because I'm in the tutorial.
Capital I. India. Item 2. Words.
Okay, here we go. Let's see.
Next button. Characters.
I just want to get the volume.
Accessibility volume.
Okay.
Increase.
Just want to see how loud this thing gets.
Increase. Increase. Item 2. Increase. Item 3. Increase. Item 2. Maximum.
Okay, so
Swipe up then down or swipe down then up to select a different setting.
this is how loud it gets. Let me
Turn off.
just gonna go ahead and turn it off.
Double
I will set it up later. I'm gonna see if it vibrates when I turn it off. It hasn't done anything yet. Okay, yeah, it does vibrate when you power it down. So vibrations when you turn it on and when you turn it off. Okay, that's been the unboxing of the Galaxy Watch 6 Classic.
Visit accessibleandroid.com or download Accessible Android from Google Play Store for text tutorials, tips and tricks, and more to make most out of your Android device.
Great unboxing there, John, and I'm particularly happy that Talkback actually comes on when you had the two fingers down on the face of the watch. And now here's that unboxing of the Flipper. That's a Z Flip. John, you like the flip phone? I wish I could love the flip phones, but I'm not quite there. And just hear us next time when you have a call on it, and just slam it to hang up the call. But for now, though, here's the unboxing of the Z Flip.
Today I'm going to be unboxing the Galaxy Z Flip 5, and this is the mint one, I believe, if I remember correctly. So I have the box here. I'm just going to get right to it. This is also the 512 gigabyte version, because Samsung offered a free memory upgrade. Kudos to Samsung for making the base models 256 gigabytes this time. Hopefully, going forward, all manufacturers will follow suit, at least on the flagship devices. All right, so I'm cutting the tape here. Let me see. This is kind of thick. All right, I think I got it. All right, so here we go. Here's what we have. The phone is on this side. And the lid here is probably the cable. Yeah, this is just where the cable is. Excuse the cats again. They decide it's lunchtime when I start recording. So yeah, there's just a cable in here. I'm sure there's a SIM removal tool as well, but I won't take any of that out of here. Put that back. Let's see. I think it was like this. Yeah, right to the phone. So it was a thin box. The phone comes unfolded, sitting in the box with cameras facing up. So I'm going to take this cover off of it. Again, trying not to tear it too badly. Not that it matters, just my OCD, I guess. Let's see. Okay, here we go. I found where to get it started. Alright, so we'll put this in the lid, and I'll actually get rid of all this. So here's the phone. Across the top feels like there might be a microphone up there and possibly a SIM slot, although there's something along the left side, so I'm assuming that's the SIM slot. It's the only thing along the left side. Bottom, there's speaker, microphone, USB-C port. Along the side on the right is the usual volume buttons up top and power button down below. It's kind of it's not completely flush, but it's almost flush. I could barely feel, well, I'll just say it's not as pronounced as it usually is on the side key. All right, and on the back here, we have the dual camera bump. I'm assuming this is mostly screen on this top half, and down here at the bottom, there is a sticker I need to get rid of. And I guess this is technically the only thing that's meant about it is this bottom half down here. Let's see, does it have the Samsung protective? It might have plastic around the edges, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm just going to flip it shut. Should I try to open it one-handed? That's opening it. closing it. All right, I'm gonna. So this closes flat, completely flat this time. Apparently, it didn't do that last time. I didn't notice that on my Z Flip 3, but it's something that they've improved along with this external screen. I'm going to turn it on with the screen folded and see what happens. Felt a vibration there. So it's loading up now. I'm going to see what I can do, if anything, with the screen or with it folded. So when it's folded, it reverses the volume keys. So that, well, because they switch places, so it switches places. I'm gonna see. Just gonna try some things. That shortcut doesn't seem to be doing anything. I don't know if it's even. I'm holding the volume keys. Let me put 2 fingers on the screen, see if that does anything. It's probably telling me right now, open your phone, dummy. But I don't see it. I'm just gonna open it. All right, now everything will probably work. Let's try the. So, volume's kind of low right now.
Spoken feedback so that you can use your
Let's see how
device
loud it
without
gets.
looking at the screen. You can turn Talkback on or off by holding both volume keys for several seconds.
It gets pretty loud. It was
Permission
just.
request. Allow Talkback to make and manage phone calls. Accessibility volume set to 57%. Allow Talkback to allow. Samsung Setup Wizard. Welcome.
All right, now let's see. Now the Talkback's on.
Screen off.
What was it saying on this screen?
System UI.
Nothing that Talkback can read. So,
Screen on. Samsung Setup Wizard. Welcome.
I guess we're done here. I'm going to. These buttons are hard to find and press. I wonder if it was like this on last year's model. Let's see. Hold these.
Power off menu. Power off button.
Okay, powering it off for now. Close it. Let's open and close it once more. All right, so this is the unboxing of the Galaxy Z Flip 5.
Thank you so much. That's great.
This is Warren's Most Liked segment, in which you can share how you got started with Android, the problems you had along the way, and much more. If you don't know what to say, we'll help you along the way.
Let's move on to our next segment, and it's my favorite. We're talking about the Android journey story. And Jerry, you want to take us down that memory lane, telling us when you got started with your Android journey, all those bumps in the road and all of that. Welcome to Android journey story. Jerry, it's your turn to tell the world about your Android journey story.
So I started in May of 2011. Such a long time ago.
It's a long time.
I was with Sprint, and my first phone, if any of you even saw it, was the Sanyo Zio. Does anyone remember that one? at all.
I never had that. Sounds like a Sony Vaio there to me.
It was a touchscreen phone, but it did have a trackball, and it was, like I said, my first journey into Android. You had to install Talkback. You had to install Pico or Pico. I always called it Pico, but that's just me. And unfortunately, so therefore, we had to have the store do it. And unfortunately, the agent that we had wasn't as knowledgeable as they should have been, shall we say. We had taken the phone home and we had to take it right back to the store because it did not have what the agent said it would. And I went looking for Android different things, like Android podcasts that would, do from a newbie's point of view, someone who just got an Android from the first time, who's blind. How would they do what they need to do? What can they expect and things like that? And that's what actually started me, because I didn't find much. Maybe I just wasn't looking in the right place. I don't know. But that's actually what started me doing the Android from a newbie, from a blind person's point of view. I actually started doing the podcast just a few days after I got my phone, and I would, do apps, or I would do, different things. And each time I got a new phone, I would do a little bit about it. The funny thing about that is later on, like a few years later, believe it or not, nobody knows this until now. My Android podcast actually got me my, if anyone remembers Odin Mobile, I actually got an email from Robert, who was my supervisor when I worked with them, but I had gotten an email from him. He had heard about my podcast. He actually listened to it. That podcast is actually what got me my job working for Odin Mobile for, Lord, what was that? November of 2013 all the way until, I want to say, March of 2016. So yeah. And when they went down, Robert told me, he said, I'm working on trying to start my own company, and if I get it off the ground, I want you to work for me, because he had to let me go. And RAZ Mobility came around and I heard from him, and there you go. So my podcast actually got me my job, working for Odin Mobile, doing basically the same thing I do for RAZ Mobility. Doing tutorials, doing training, helping people who are, totally blind, answering questions when I can. If one of our other agents can't answer something, say it's on an Android phone and it's regarding Talkback, they send it over to me and I help. So you never know. Sometimes the little things you do, like I said, I started the podcast because I didn't find one from a newbie's point of view, for a blind person. So I just started doing it. And like I said, about 2 years later, it got me a job.
How did you find Talkback in those early days?
You had to have someone cited, and back then, I mean, it wasn't called the Play Store back then. What was it? Market something, or
Android
Marketplace?
Android
Market.
Android Market, I think.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Marketplace, maybe.
Yeah.
But you could find it there, but you had to have someone cited do it for you.
But how did I remember that, and it was really annoying. But how did you find using it?
Back
As an
then,
experience?
I mean, it was definitely different compared to
Yes.
what it is now.
Thank goodness it's different now.
Oh yeah. And I even used mobile accessibility. Sprint actually had a deal where you could get it for free through them. Now, unfortunately, I bought it, and then shortly after I bought it, they offered it for free. I'm like,
That is so annoying.
Especially when it cost $100.
But
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. What about
that was
the
something.
angle
But I will say-
gestures and all that stuff? How did you
I
get on with
still to this day don't like angle gestures.
Nor do I.
I mean, I can do them, but they just I don't like them. I
No.
know I know earlier, back when they started doing those gestures, they were more picky than they are now.
Yes, they were.
I
They
mean,
were really annoying.
if you had any curve at all, forget it. It didn't work.
John likes them. John's a fan, aren't
Yeah,
you?
but
You like angle
here's
gestures.
the good thing about the gestures
Yeah.
now is that they're very forgiving, and you can literally draw a letter C. I mean, print C, and it will translate that as your talk to bring the talkback menu. So the gestures, to be honest, I think I find them to be easier one compared to the other side of the thing. I'm talking about our friends on the other side. I have students that could never do that rotor no matter what, but they could do those angle gestures. So go figure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I still remember when, we got ice cream sandwich and we thought it was a big deal that we could actually use the touch screen finally.
That was good.
I'll tell you though, one of my horror stories was when ice cream sandwich came out, I wanted a phone. I just had to have it. I had to have it in my life. So I got a hold of my carrier and whatnot, and they're like, "Oh yes, this phone will have this, the ice cream sandwich." So I ordered the phone, and I'm excited. I'm yes. I'm going to get ice cream. No, the phone actually came with gingerbread. You had to do the update to ice cream sandwich.
Oh, well, that's annoying.
Yeah. Yeah. That
And-
was
and
my
also
Moto
it prob-
Max as well.
It probably meant as well that you wouldn't get as many updates afterwards, didn't it? If you-
I didn't keep that phone around for long enough to find out, but
What was that phone?
it was what was it? Was it the Nexus, or what do they call it? The Nexus S or something like that?
Yeah, there was the Nexus S.
Yeah,
That's from Samsung.
No, it might have been, but it was, I think Sprint was the only one that had it, I think, at the time. But yeah, I got it. And like I said, I was all excited, but then I had to run and find eyeballs because, as you know, I mean, we couldn't use the touch screen on the phone. So I had to get someone who could so that they could do the update for me. Does anyone remember the Transform Ultra?
What?
Transform
I
Ultra.
think that was a Sprint only kind of phone.
Sprint and then Boost Mobile carried it too. But I actually liked it. I mean, it had a little slide out keyboard. That was as long as, I mean, the buttons were kind of small, but it was nice to be able to have that, the slide out keyboard. And I wondered where those went because that was nice.
I miss those. Do you miss those?
Yes. That's
I
one of the
do.
reasons. That's one of the reasons why I like the Kapsis phone, the
Yeah.
Smart Vision 3, because okay, yes, you have to do T9 typing on it, but it's still a keyboard. And there are days where my carpal tunnel is acting up. And so therefore, sometimes the gestures are harder for me to do or whatever. And that's when I like having a keyboard that I can, type with or just do simple stuff, using the up and down arrow keys and the select key. Funny enough, there was actually a problem with the camera, and I kept contacting Samsung about it, and they kept saying, no, there's nothing wrong. And I kept telling them, yes, there is, because what it would do, and it was random, but it would crash after recording like 2 minutes of video. And the only way you could bring the camera back was to reset the phone. What was funny? They came out with a software update a few months later, and guess what was fixed?
The camera.
Yep.
Bingo.
And which phone was that? The camera
Transform
was...
Ultra. Transform
right.
Ultra. So then I went to the Nexus S, the one on Sprint, that I was saying for ice cream sandwich.
Yeah.
Then I went to, I want to say it was the Nexus Verizon, because I switched to Verizon, and it was like the first Nexus that came out for that. And then I went to the Droid 4. Anyone remember that one? Again, a slide out
Droid.
keyboard.
Yeah.
Who made that?
Verizon really worked hard in, bringing Android to the foreground.
Well, not only that, the Nexus phone, the first Nexus that Verizon had, really, I mean, you don't realize how popular it was back, when it came out. One of the things I liked about that Nexus phone, though, was rooting it and installing Cyanogen Mod, and those were the days. And I think I did a couple podcasts about doing that, installing the latest and greatest, signage and mods like the nightly builds. And I was brave. I'm not even talking like the weekly or monthlies. I was doing the nightly builds, my friend. Root your phone, unlock your phone, and install signage and mod. And I mean, yes, there were things that broke, and you expected it because it was a nightly build. But
Yeah.
some of the
Yeah.
really neat things, especially if you lived in an area where your carrier wasn't the greatest signal, your battery life really stunk. And with signage and mod, you could slow down the processor a little bit. You could do these little tweaks where you could make your battery actually last longer. One of the phones I had, and I cannot remember which one it was, it may have been the Nexus, but I don't fully remember. Third-party batteries that were twice the size and twice the milliamp hours. I had a 3,500 milliamp battery. It was so big, because it was twice the thickness. So it came with a back that you could put on your phone, because obviously the original back wouldn't fit. So they gave you a back that poofed out, and you put your thicker battery in, and you put this thicker, case on the back. So I miss being able to change batteries like that.
So do I.
I wish they'd go back to it. Just
So do I.
Yeah. So move us through some of your other phones and to where you currently are now.
Let's see. So I did go to the Samsung 4, but not for very long. I then went to the.
Did you not like it? Was there something you didn't like about it, or
was it your
thing?
I was having issues with some of the gestures on like the home button when you were supposed to be able to do certain things with it, and I couldn't get it to work. So I
fair enough.
Gave it to a friend of mine, and then I went and got the Samsung 5. I didn't keep it very long. What I didn't like about it was they had the that's when they started doing the what did they call it? The trip counter. And I didn't like it because what they did, they locked you out of your SD card for the most part. Like the maps for Nearby Explorer, I like putting them on my SD card because SD cards were bigger, had more storage, but because they had it locked out, you couldn't put it on your SD card. So to put it on your SD card, you had to root the device and whatnot. And they had a trip counter that if you rooted the device and unlocked it, this yellow triangle would show up. Even if you tried to put everything back to stock, you tripped the counter. So therefore this yellow triangle would show up, and they would know, well, someone got smart and made a little program that you could run it and it would basically reset the trip counter. And I know it worked because I took that phone back to T-Mobile and used it as an exchange for an iPhone. I switched, I admit it. I did it. I got the 5S, I think, or the 6. Because
it was nice talking to you. I hope you we'll maybe talk to you later.
So after that, I went to I think one of the best phones I ever saw back in its day, the Moto Z Play, I think is what it was called, the Moto Z Play. It's standby time, and even not standby time, it was just incredible for its day. You could get almost a week out of that phone. I then went to the Samsung Galaxy 9 Pro.
I had a Galaxy 9, but I didn't have the Pro, but I loved it.
I had the Pro. As a matter of fact, I had the Pro until just a couple of years ago, until 2 years ago, actually.
I still have my S9 in a drawer. I only stopped using it
every
every day.
I
only stopped using mine every day a few weeks ago as a spare.
And then I went. Well, one of the things I did not like about that phone, oh my God, did the microphones back off? That's one thing I still don't like about Samsung phones as to other phones. Their microphones back off, if that makes any sense.
What do you mean by that?
They like loud/bass. They back off to where things get quieter. And Pixel phones, my Nokia phone does not do that. Samsung does now. The Samsung 9 Plus or Pro, whatever it was, I don't
It
remember.
was the Plus.
Was it Plus? Okay. It
Yeah.
was worse about it than my S22 is. But even my S22 still does it. Backs off.
Are we talking about recording or on
Yes,
phone calls or
recording. When you're doing recording.
How I solved that was by using HiQ MP3 recorder.
I used
which-
I used HiQ and I still couldn't get mine to quit doing it. Then I went to the Nokia because the S9 Plus all of a sudden was getting no more updates, not even security updates. And I'm like, okay, no, I don't want a phone that's not going to get updates, even security ones. So I got the Nokia X100, which is I call it kind of a mid-range / low budget. It's from T-Mobile. I think T-Mobile is the only place you can get it, actually. $250 phone, but for what it is, it's a big screened phone, and it's really not all that slow. I mean, it is slower, but it's not unusable.
So what made you want to get that instead of, say, a Pixel or another Samsung?
Because they had a deal where if you activated a line, you could get it for free. I wasn't going to pass that up.
El Fribo, that's my language.
But is that your main phone or
No,
that's what I was wondering.
No. Then I wanted something a little better. So I then went to a Pixel 5 and I got that one for free. I won't say how or why or whatever, but I got it for free. And I definitely didn't like it for one reason, probably the same reason y'all didn't like it. The fact that the earpiece was under the glass. No, its microphone had issues too. The reason I then went to the Pixel 6 Pro, and the reason I had done that was we had an issue with lift where I had May on the phone with me so she could hear what was going on. Well, sadly, the microphone on the Pixel 5, she was having a lot of issues hearing with it. And we were like, you know what? No, we got to get a different phone. So that's when I got the Pixel 6 Pro. And then I went to the S22 Ultra. And that's where I am currently. That's what my main Android phone is right now. Looking forward, and I've been trying to look forward. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do for my next phone? And for me, it's such a hard decision between the Pixel and Samsung because there's stuff I love about the Pixel, but there's stuff I love about the Samsung. So it's like, and then there are things I hate about the Samsung. Cough, cough, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, the proximity sensor, because I use it a lot. But then there are things I hate about the Pixel, so it's just, what am I going to do?
We've had one annoyance about the Samsung. Actually, we've had two. We've had the microphones. Let's have the Pixel ones to balance it up a bit.
I tended to have more issues with the agent, the Google thing that we've been talking about on the group. I had more issues with that on the assistant on the Pixel than I do my S22 Ultra. Believe it or not.
Ridiculous.
I know.
Yeah, I can confirm that.
I don't know why. I don't know, but it's like the Pixel phones, it's not as good of a thing as it is, for whatever reason, as it is on the Samsung.
It works great if you're not using Talkback, but if you're using Talkback,
yes,
no, it doesn't. It speaks, and the thing about on a Pixel, if it speaks over you, it mutes the mic, so you can't even talk over it. It's not going to hear anything you say if Talkback is talking.
I will say one of the things I miss on my Samsung, or that I miss on Pixel, that I can't do on the Samsung, and I wish Samsung would do it, is being able to just talk without having to say period, comma, period. On Pixels, you don't have to do that. And I looked at when I would send people messages, especially on Telegram, I sent someone a really long one and it got probably 95% of the punctuation right. I just wish you could do that on a Samsung.
Well, the truth is that there'll always be something that is amiss with every device. And it's just whichever one is willing to put up with. That's the whole idea.
It's choice, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Which one you would rather live with and all of that. But
yeah, even I'm always going back and forth between the two. like this Jerry mentioned it, the assistant typing. I have the automatic punctuation turned off, but I do love the assistant typing. It just works so much better. It recognizes so many more emojis. You can say clear to redo a sentence. You can say clear all if you just want to start over. You could say next to go to the next field. You could say send to send a message. Just so much more you can do
Yep.
with the assistant typing that you cannot do. And I'm over here trying to use my Samsung phone and I'm typing a message and then I say send and it just adds send at the into the
Oh
message.
dear.
Plus, you got used to saying send or stop.
Mm.
You know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
too.
That
And
does sound handy,
yeah,
actually.
I love my assistant typing, to be honest. But you know, like I said, there's things that one can live with or not live with. But the good news is that we have these choices. Just imagine if you are on Fruitvale that you don't have a choice. You're stuck. You know, so
Well,
we are blessed to have these different phones, and you can switch between them as you switch between putting on new socks or whatever every day.
And
what
I
do
just
you what?
speaking of the whole Apple thing, and this is something I always wanted to tell people. I actually started. I had heard that Apple was accessible, but when I went and got my phone, I was like, you know what? I want to be different. I want to be bold. I want to try something different. That's what made me actually go to Android, because I heard it was doable, and I wanted to be one of those people to help others to see that, hey, Android is doable. Yes, you might have to do a little bit of fiddling with it, back in 2011. But once you did that, it was pretty good. And at least it was doable. You didn't, so it gave you a choice. There were just a lot of people who didn't want to see that choice because, Apple back then, let's face it, was a little bit better at the accessibility part. But man, has Android come such a long way
It has.
since Froyo, because that's what the Sanyo Zayo had. It had Android Froyo.
Well, Jerry, this has been a wonderful Android journey story. And before we bring this to a close, we just want to mention here to you and all of our listeners that anytime you want to come back and just join us as a listener, we have an open door, which we call listener appearance, guest appearance. So anytime you want to come back and join us in an episode, just let us know and you'll be on. But
Or
it
if
has
you
been a
want to,
pleasure having you.
or if you want to record us any app demos or reviews or things like that, feel free.
I was going to say, I have a one coming up. Warren will be getting the file really soon.
Lovely.
It's not an Android phone. And some people are going to sit there going, wait a minute, I didn't think this was Android. But guess what? It is. And you'll just have to see how. And, it's a brief demo.
It's an
but
Android.
It is an Android under the hood, but they're doing their own little thing with it that you'll get to see. It's interesting, to say the least. So you guys are very welcome. I'm glad I could come on here and, not only tell my story, but, talk about the Smart Vision 3 and RAZ Mobility and whatnot. So I was glad I could educate everybody and also just have fun with you guys.
All good things must end. Thus, it's curtain drawing time, bringing us to the close of this week's episode. Coming up, though, we give you information on how to get hold of us. Well, that brings us to the close of this episode, and we do appreciate you guys for listening. Coming up, though, Austin will give you information on how to get hold of us.
To contact us, you can send an email to contactus@blindandroidusers.com. You can join our mailing list by sending an email to Blind Android Users plus subscribe at groups.io. You can join our Telegram, Facebook, Discord, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. The links for everything will be at the bottom of the show notes and also in the video description of the YouTube channel. And also the links are in the websites panel of the YouTube channels.
Thank you so much for that, Austin. And from me, it's goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye. Toodles.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Blind Android Users Podcast. Until we see you next week, don't forget to leave us your comments and suggestions via our email contact or using any of our social media sites. Have a great week.